Okay, so let's just jump right in. You know that old idea that the path to wealth is just climbing the corporate ladder, saving a bit from your paycheck? Well, I'm here to tell you that's what 99% of people think. But the top 1%? Oh, they play a completely different game.
And this slide, right here, this just shatters that entire myth. Take a look at the world's wealthiest people. A massive 75% are entrepreneurs. They own businesses. Another 15% are investors who own assets. Even inheritors own things like trusts. See the common thread? They are all owners. They don't just work for their money, they own the things that make the money.
And that really brings us to this incredibly powerful, almost chilling idea. If you don't own something, an asset, a business, even a valuable skill, you're basically a gear in someone else's machine. You become the thing that's owned. So the big question is, how do we flip that script?
Okay, so let's shift from the problem to a really powerful solution. And it's a simple, actionable rule that, honestly, anyone on any income can use to start their journey into this ownership economy.
Here it is, the 25-15-50-10 rule. Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a super practical framework for every single dollar you earn after taxes. So 25% goes to building your wealth, 15% is for your financial stability, 50% covers your core essentials, and, this is important, 10% is for actually enjoying your life. Let's break down each piece.
First up, and you could argue it's the most important part, is your growth engine. This is the 25% of your income that goes to work for you, buying assets that, hopefully, increase in value over time. This is how you really start owning.
I mean, think about the typical paycheck cycle, right? You get paid, you feel flush with cash for a few days, and then suddenly you're counting pennies till the next one. This is not an accident, it's kind of by design. It keeps you on the hamster wheel. The way you fight back is by taking this first 25% and putting it straight into assets before you're even tempted to spend it.
Now you might be thinking, I just don't have enough to start. But listen, waiting is literally the single most expensive mistake you can make. And let me show you exactly why with a quick story. Meet Billy and Phil. Billy starts investing just $200 a month when he's 20. His friend Phil, he waits till he's 30. But to try and catch up, he invests more, $300 a month. So who do you think ends up with more money by age 60?
After 30 years of investing that $300 a month, Phil has a very respectable $678,000. He invested about $108,000 of his own money to get there. Not bad at all, right? But now, let's look at Billy.
Just look at that number. That is the magic of compound growth in action. Billy invested less of his own money, only $96,000 total, and he ends up with over $1.2 million. That's almost $600,000 more than Phil, just because he had 10 extra years for his money to grow on itself. That right there is the power of starting now.
So where do you put this 25%? Well, think of it like a ladder. For most people, the best place to start is right there at the bottom rung, index funds. You're not trying to pick the next big thing, you're just buying a tiny slice of the entire market. Then, as you get more comfortable, you can start exploring things like real estate or developing high-income skills or even dabbling in riskier assets further up the ladder. But you've got to start with that solid foundation.
Okay, next up is part 2 of our system, the safety net. This is the 15% of your income that protects your growth engine. Because, let's be real, life happens, and you absolutely need a financial defense system.
I learned this one the hard way. When I was 18, I bought a car on a loan. A few months later, poof, the engine blew up. I had zero savings, no backup plan, nothing. I had to borrow even more money, and that one incident just broke my finances and set me back a whole year. A simple stability fund would have changed everything for me.
So, where do you keep this emergency money? Well, there are 3 rules, and they are non-negotiable. First, it has to be liquid. You need to be able to get it within 24 hours. Second, it has to be zero risk. Please do not put your emergency fund in the stock market. And third, it should still be working for you, earning some interest in a high-yield savings account.
All right, moving on to the third part, and this is the biggest slice of the pie, your foundation. This is the 50% that covers your essentials. And the key here is to really define essentials correctly and to avoid that classic trap of lifestyle creep every time you get a raise. You know, it's so easy to get caught up trying to look rich instead of actually becoming rich. I had this friend, right? Always had the designer clothes, the expensive watch. He looked great, but behind the scenes, he was just drowning in debt. At the same time, I had a growing investment account that nobody could see. True wealth is the assets you own, not the liabilities you're showing off. To keep that foundation solid, you've got to be brutally honest with yourself about this list.
Essentials are the things that keep you alive and functioning: your rent or mortgage, your groceries, your insurance. Luxuries are things like daily takeout, that gym membership you haven't used since January, the 5 different streaming services you're subscribed to. Cutting these non-essentials is the absolute fastest way to free up more cash for your growth and safety engines.
And instead of trying to rely on willpower, which, let's face it, always fails, use a system. Before any non-essential purchase, just ask yourself these 3 simple questions. 1. Is this an impulse? If it is, just wait 7 days. You'll be shocked how often that urge just disappears. 2. Are you buying for the brand name or for the actual value? And 3. Will this purchase genuinely improve your life, or is it just a temporary dopamine hit?
And that brings us to our 4th and final piece of the puzzle, the part everyone seems to forget but is absolutely critical for long-term success: the reward system. This is the 10% of your income that is meant to be spent to keep you sane and motivated on this journey.
Now, this is not an excuse to be reckless. It's a strategy to prevent burnout. The data is crystal clear. 92% of people who go on these extreme financial diets end up splurging uncontrollably afterward. And why is that? Because a plan with absolutely no room for joy feels like a prison sentence. This 10% is your scheduled cheat meal. It's what makes the whole plan sustainable.
And you can be really strategic with this fun money. Think of it as investing in different parts of your life. A vacation? That's an investment in your mental health. A hobby is an investment in your passion. A dinner out with friends? That's an investment in your relationships. This is how you spend money in a way that truly enriches your life, guilt-free.
So there you have it, the whole shebang, the complete system. 25% goes to your growth engine, buying assets that make you an owner. 15% goes to your safety net, protecting you from life's inevitable curveballs. 50% is for your foundation, covering your true essentials. And that last 10% is for your reward system, making the entire journey not just sustainable, but enjoyable.
See, this isn't just another budget. It's a blueprint for shifting from being an earner to being an owner. You now have the exact same framework that the wealthy use to manage their money. So the only question left is the one on the screen. Now that you have the rule, what will you own first?